Welcome back. Helping others with the use of Harry Potter and superheroes, clinical psychologist and author Dr. Janina Scarlet is out with her 10th book to help readers with their daily mental health struggles. And she's joining us live this morning from San Diego. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Of course, talk about your book and what is the goal?
Thank you. So this book is called It Shouldn't Be This Way. And the goal of it is to address the fact that many of us are often shamed for feeling completely natural emotions like grief, sadness, anger, and frustration. And the idea is that this is actually a form of ableist oppression. Our emotions are meant to be felt. That's why they're called feelings. And I actually argue that feelings are our inner source of magic. They allow us to heal. They allow us to know what our needs are so that we can address them.
Yeah, what should we be telling ourselves or even our children when it comes to honoring our feelings?
Great question. What we should be telling ourselves is that these emotions are natural, that we have some kind of a need in that moment, and that it is human and also necessary for us to address that need. For example, when we're feeling depressed, it might indicate that we're in need of connection and compassion and support. And when we're feeling anxious, it might indicate that we need reassurance and some kind of emotional safety. These emotions are not our enemies. They are kind of our smart suit, kind of like Jarvis for Iron Man, or kind of like the Spidey senses for Spider-Man, or feeling the Force for the Jedi. They're our inner source of magic. And rather than fighting with them, it's important that we address them and experience them and actually allow them to empower us. And so we can tell that to ourselves as adults and also remind our children that very much like feeling the Force as our inner Jedi would, feeling our emotions can allow us to actually be more powerful and more emotionally healthy.
Yeah, Dr. Scarlett, we have to talk about the fact that we were in a pandemic for, at least, 2 years. So there are some mental health struggles going on. What are some daily mental health struggles that you think that parents are struggling with when it comes to their children?
I think the biggest struggle that we're seeing worldwide, but especially in the United States, having had the largest rates of pandemic, is loneliness. And loneliness is a really underrated emotion. A lot of people don't realize that they're feeling lonely. It might be masked as depression, sadness, or anxiety. But for a lot of individuals, it's the lack of supportive connection. Loneliness does not mean not having people around us. It's not about how many people are there. It's about the type of connection that we have. And so being able to acknowledge that we're feeling lonely, that we're in need of meaningful social connection, somebody that truly gets it, truly understands what we're going through, can allow us to then seek it out, hopefully within our friends or family, or maybe with a compassionate therapist. And for some people, that's within their fandom, which can then allow us to meet our own needs and further support ourselves.
Who is this latest book for? Children as young as what age?
This book is actually for adults.
Adults, okay.
And my hope is that adults are then able to address their own unhealed emotional wounds and then therefore be able to support children, for example.
Yes, okay.
I find that hurt people and therefore might pass down generations worth of unhealthy advice and behaviors, such as shaming people for having emotions. But I also find that healed people heal people. And so by acknowledging and honoring our own emotions, we can then heal our own emotional wounds and perhaps also teach our kids to do the same.
That is great advice, because when you know better, you do better, right?
Exactly.
There are a few tools and tips in that book. Can you share some with us? We've got 1 minute before we got to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's one exercise I like to do that's called a dog in the park. And so if any of you have ever had a dog that you take to the park, especially when the dog's really excited, you know that a dog needs to run around for a little bit before they've gotten that energy out. So I like to imagine that in front of our heart, there is a park, an arena, where we can put our emotions and thoughts and feelings for a few minutes and set a timer for 3 minutes and then sit back close our eyes, and breathe, allowing those emotions to run out that energy rather than trying to suppress them.
That is some great advice there. Dr. Janina Scarlet, thank you so much. Where can people find your book? We've got to wrap.
Thank you so much for having me. The ebook is available on Amazon, and hard copy can be purchased on Amazon UK.
Thank you so much for joining us. It Shouldn't Be This Way. That is the name of the book. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.